So the start of the race had important consequences for a few of the things we're going to look at in today's show. The first thing is the strategy at the front. Now, Charles Leclerc on the front row has gone for a medium tyre. George Russell from third is on a soft tyre, which is the convention because it's the fastest starting tyre. And Russell knows he needs to make the most of that off the line. For Leclerc, if he can keep hold of second place off the line, that'd be brilliant. But he's got strategic options later on in the race. So that is the gamble that they've worked out for second and third. And if we play it through, we know what happens. George gets the better start. And you can see in the first phase of the start, the grip of that soft tyre, as soon as George gets a clutch release, he's able to get on the gas quicker than Charles. And the Mercedes is already pulling alongside the Ferrari for second place. And really, there's not much that Leclerc can do at this point. Has to brake a bit early for the first corner. You can see Russell's actually on the limit of the braking for the first corner as well. But Leclerc cannot steam down the inside trying to hold on to Russell because he'll probably just nerf into the back of Piastri and take them both out. So he has to be cautious from that position. And Ferrari's strategy there has kind of given up the track position they got with Mercedes' penalty after qualifying. So we play it through. And the other thing we see straight away is that Lando Norris has made a good gain on the opening lap. He's up to fourth and he's about to take third from Charles Leclerc now. Conversely, it's a poor start for Max Verstappen, who's lost a couple of spots to Hamilton on his medium tyres and also Carlos Sainz at this point. So whilst they started 6th and 7th, it's a great start from Norris, launches him up. We're going to look more at that start, though, in a minute, because obviously he got the penalty. And it's actually not a good start for Verstappen. So the gap is massively exaggerated from those two at the first corner. We play it through, and you can see Lando now using the grip, similarly to George, coming out of that first corner, soft tyres fired up, and he just jumps on the gas and gets up the inside of Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton tries to run side by side with Carlos Sainz and loses that spot to Max. So Max gets one of them back as we head up towards turn 4, where Lando completes the move on Charles Leclerc. But the next thing for the strategy in the show is Kimi Antonelli has actually had a good start. He's in 5th spot here, and he's ahead of Pierre Gasly. So they've both lost out to Norris. That's no big deal to any of them because Norris is in a faster McLaren that would likely beat them anyway. Antonelli has Gasly, but this is where his whole race is about to change because he defends from the inside of the Alpine, runs wide, and you can see him fighting the car to the exit, runs off the track. Now he's in a bit of a predicament. This is a difficult place to be for Antonelli. We're still here side by side with Gasly on the inside. And he kind of has to back out of this one because if Pierre wants it, he'll shove it down the inside here and there's going to be no space for Kimi. That's exactly what happens. Antonelli gets forced wide and now we've got some race winners coming up behind in Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton behind. Sainz now dives up the inside and again, Antonelli fights it to the end, but he's on the exit curb here. So he loses another spot and now he's fallen behind the Williams and things get a little bit tricky for his race. Manages to hold on there and actually does a great pass on Carlos again in the first stint. But instead of going with that front group now, he's in the midfield gaggle and Mercedes start to get creative with his strategy. And we're going to look at that later on in the show. But let's come back to the Lando Norris start then. Up in third place at this point, things look really hunky-dory, making the most of the start after a difficult qualifying. But it's about this point we realise that there's a potential penalty coming for Lando. It's difficult to argue against it. It's pretty black and white, this one. Norris here in 6th position, ready to make his start. And as we play it through to the point of release, there's our best look at it. And you can see that front right, it is just ahead of the white line, the starting grid. So this line here is simply a driver reference line. Is not the front of the grid box. That is obviously this one, the white line, which it always has been. The yellow marker is there for the drivers to see as they're pulling up to their grid box where their front wheels are. Because when you're sitting in the cockpit, as Lando is there, you can't see the white line. You can't see the front of your car. So that's just a really wide driver reference line. So you can see actually Kimi Antonelli just ahead has got a little bit of margin there. He's not bad. He's got his front tyres on the driver reference line, but he's got another 10 centimetres to go, should he want it. Whereas Lando, you can see the front contact patch of that tyre is just ahead of the white line. So there's really no debate for him as he gets away. He does actually also get a really blistering launch and still splits those cars. And he could have had that from 5 centimetres further back. But I don't think that the 5 centimetres that he went over the line was the absolute deal breaker in his rapid start. But it's just showing that he's just pushing the boundaries of everything. and that is where he got pinged. You can see it on board with Max now, who has a good look across, sees Lando just creep forward, can see him over the line now, gets on the radio as well, and immediately is telling his team about that, and that will highlight it to the race stewards. Interesting thing is, looking from Lando's perspective here, because I thought Lando was really second-guessing himself through the whole race, and it was a scrappy weekend generally for Norris. So he's pulled up in his grid spot, 6th place. He's obviously got a lot of mental focus on this race start because his teammate's on pole, he's still leading the championship. He's got Max, who's 1 point behind him in the championship coming into this race, starting from 7th. We know generally Verstappen is a fast starter, even if it didn't materialise on this Grand Prix start. But Lando's come up to the box. Now, he has a look across and he's constantly thinking, can he move forward? So he does. He just engages first gear and just creeps slightly further forwards from the box. Now, he's trying to look across and see where that yellow line is for a reference. And once you've done as many starts as he's done, over 100, then you realise roughly where you need to be. But now he's lost sight of it. And now he's in his own head now about how far ahead he needs to be. And he's actually in a pretty decent spot at this point. He's in neutral again. But then he thinks, no, I'll have a little bit more. And he goes again towards the front of the grid spot, pulls the neutral. Now he's sitting quite aggressively over the front of that yellow line. And he's gone too far. It's a big step, the second one. The first one probably put him to the perfect level. And then he's gone again, which has just taken him over the edge of it. And he's lost reference for where he needs to start. So he probably needed to be more cautious at this point. You're looking like maybe a 10 centimetre gain and a massive loss of a 5-second penalty that dropped him away from the front pack. So he still gets a great launch. He still comes through with the soft tyres past Charles Leclerc. But for the sake of a small win, he's taken a 5-second penalty, which really changed the face of his race early on. In 3rd position coming out of this corner, should have been looking ahead, even possibly would have been in 4th maybe without the creeping over the front line. But the 5-second penalty effectively put him back towards Gasly and Antonelli. But McLaren did a good job at mitigating that by pitting Lando early and effectively giving him an undercut to get the place back. So they did a good job with the penalty, but a really sloppy one for Norris. And it derailed the start of his race.
At the beginning, I was too far back, so I tried to creep forward and go forward and did the opposite. So no, first time I've ever done this in my life. Shouldn't happen, but it did, and I paid the price for it.